Hello everybody, it's Amel, and today I'm going to teach you how to solve longest consecutive sequence. Given an unsorted array of integers, find the length of the longest consecutive element sequence. Your algorithm should run in big O of n complexity. Here they give you an example. The input is this array, and the values are 100, 4, 200, 1, 3, 2. The output is 4. Why? Because that's the length of the longest consecutive sequence. So the longest consecutive sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, as you can see in the explanation. The longest consecutive element sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4. Therefore, its length is 4. So those numbers are consecutive. So that's the longest consecutive sequence in this array. How can we solve this problem? One brute force approach would be to start from every number and then try to build the longest consecutive sequence. You try to find the longest consecutive sequence from every number. The time complexity would be big O n cubed, and the space complexity would be big O of 1. But the time complexity is unacceptable. Cubic time is very bad. Can we do better? Yes, another brute force approach would be to sort the array. After we sort the array, we can find the longest consecutive sequence very easily, because the elements that are consecutive will be adjacent to each other. So the time complexity would be big O n log n. But that would be a brute force approach as well. Can we do better? Yes, we can do better. If we use a hash table, if we use a set, we can actually put all the elements in the set, and then we can iterate through the set, and when we see an element, we remove it from the set because it has been processed, and then from that element we try to expand to the left and we try to expand to the right. That way we find the longest consecutive sequence that can be formed or that contains that element. And whenever we find an element that belongs to that sequence, we remove it from the set to avoid double counting. So the time complexity would be big O of n, where n is the length of the array, and the space complexity would also be big O of n. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how to write this solution. First, I need a set. So set of integer, set gets the value of new, hash set. Then I will put all the elements in the array into the set. So for integer num in nums set that add num. Then I need my final result variable, so integer final result gets a value of 0, and this variable is the length of the longest consecutive sequence. Then I will say while not set that is empty, I will get the element, so I will say integer x gets a value of set that iterator that next, and then I will remove the element from the set. That way I won't be double counting in the future, because once I process an element x, then I will find the longest consecutive sequence containing x, so I don't want to consider that element anymore. So I will say set that remove x. Alright, so then as I said, I need to expand to the left and I need to expand to the right to find that longest consecutive sequence. For example, if I'm processing number 2, I need to expand to the left to consider the 1, and I also need to expand to the right to consider the 3 and the 4. So I will expand to the left first. Integer lower bound gets a value of x minus 1. Then while set that contains lower bound, I will remove this element from the set. That way I won't be double counting in the future. So set that remove lower bound minus minus lower bound to continue the expansion to the left. I will also expand to the right. So integer upper bound gets a value of x plus 1. Then while set that contains the upper bound, I will say set that remove upper bound and plus plus upper bound. Alright, so then after I finish the expansion here to the left and to the right, I will just update my final result because I have found the longest consecutive sequence for this element x. So I will say the final result gets a value of math that max of the previous final result or the previous longest consecutive sequence, or this one that would be upper bound minus lower bound minus 1. Because let's say that you find that the upper bound was 5 and then the lower bound was 2, then that's how you can get the length of that sequence. So you find which one is bigger, the previous one I found before or the length of this consecutive sequence. And by the end of the iteration, the final result variable will contain the length of the longest consecutive sequence in the entire array. So I will return the final result. I will run the code. Okay, I will submit my solution. This is working perfectly, 5 milliseconds faster than 90.23% of Java submissions for longest consecutive sequence. So as I said before, the time complexity is big O of n, where n is the length of the array. The space complexity is also big O of n. If you like this video, please press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you next time!